trained to be aggressive, but intelligently aggressive. In the county area, we don't have the luxury of urban staffing. We're trying to cover a whole lot bigger area with a smaller amount of people, and we overcome that with very comprehensive, routine, and stringent training. We expect fire and expect victims. We show up planning that that's what we're going to encounter, and if we don't, that's great, but it's always our job to be prepared for that. And so we have a document that we call our ethos for mission success that we challenge and hold all of our members to be held accountable to. Very simply put, at the district level, if you will, or the funding level, it is the job of our governance to put into place the proper personnel with the proper equipment, the proper training, and the leadership to provide on our mission. So I really like the three-legged stool example of that, because that's really what it takes to provide and operate a successful fire department. A component to that, though, is proper funding. All of those things cost money, and if you don't have the funding that you need to be able to put that in place, that's really your first step, which is how ESDs came about. So one of the big things that we focus on is standards. We have minimum training standards, minimum fitness standards, standardized methods of how we do virtually everything, from deploying hose off the truck to how we do fire attack, EMS protocols, so on and so forth. We put a priority on staffing. You can have all the shiny fire trucks and big beautiful fire stations that you want. If you don't have trained and equipped people to deploy that equipment and to go do the job, what do you really have? So by combining all those and making that an organizational priority, that equals a high-performing organization. This is just a little bit about us and our organizational model. We have an administrative side. We have 92 full-time employees. So Liz is in there doing payroll right now. Every other Monday is payroll day. So we have administrative staff for all of those employment functions and the other functions that go along with running the political subdivision. The Park County Fire Alarm dispatch is, they're employed underneath our umbrella. We have interlocal agreements with the other ESDs in the county to facilitate that dispatch operation. So that's what you see there. And then of course operations and other facets of the organization are the big ones, right? So we have a deputy chief over operations. We have a battalion chief on duty, one north, one south, so one in Springtown, one in Aledo. And then all the firefighters are working with them. Support services is our fleet and facilities and supply. So we have a facilities maintenance technician on staff because we have 10 or 11 facilities now spread out around the county. And then 3 emergency vehicle technicians on duty that provide preventive maintenance and regular repairs on our apparatus to keep our fleet going. And then on the prevention side, we currently administrate the fire code for the city of Aledo. So back to our divisions. Operations division is really the reason we're all here, right? That's the group of people that provide the services for protect the life and property of the citizens of the district. This is a picture of the dispatch center. Support services, this is our mobile fleet vehicle, and then our fleet shop that is located directly behind this building. Our training division, so we acquired a 14-acre site. It's on Farmer Road, kind of between Aledo and Azle, and we recently completed construction of that training facility. The back 4 acres or so is what has a 5-story mixed-use training tower on it, and then we also have a separate 2-story residential prop, a 1-story residential prop, a fire behavior lab, and a Venover fire prop, and then a couple of field classrooms out there. We've already hosted a couple of regional training events, and we're looking forward to making that available to all fire departments in the region to utilize. Kind of a final piece of information. This is a 5 road mile range map. This concerns ISO. So a little bit about ISO real quick. I'm sorry I don't have better slides on that. So ISO is Insurance Services Office. They issue a public protection class rating, and that is on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. And that's a private for-profit company called Verisk that issues the public protection class product, and they sell that product to insurance companies who use that risk analysis to the price premiums in different ways. It depends on the insurance company on how they use it. Some group it by zip code, which is my understanding how State Farm does. Some do it very granularly down to the address. Generally, a class 10 ISO, which is the worst rating, is if you're over 5 road miles from a fire station. They view it as you're not protected. So, or that's their highest risk rating. Some companies will write policies in class 10 ISO, some companies will not. It really depends on how they utilize that risk data. That's why you'll find a lot of people in more rural areas will ride with companies like State Farm or Germania or Chubb, just to throw a few out there that I know of. We frequently field calls here from underwriters wanting to know, especially on higher value policies, what exactly the ISO rating is for that area, how far they are from the fire station, so on and so forth. So this is just a 5 road mile map from our station 51, which is at 199 Midway Road, and what portion of Reno that covers. It does not cover all of the city. It covers roughly about half of it. In 2023, the area, the non-built corridor, if you will, annexed into ESD1, and it's our desire to eventually have a facility up there to be able to get all of that corridor within 5 road miles, which would then, of course, fill in all of Reno as well between 2 different stations. This map is based off of a fire station location off of Knob Hill up there. So that's a little bit about us. Finally, fiscally, so what does that look like? We run about an $18 million a year budget. We maintain roughly between 22 and 25% of a reserve fund of our operational costs. So our current reserve fund has about 2.6 million in it. We also run a capital fleet replacement fund and a capital facilities fund. We spent about $11 million this year, just over $11 million on personnel. That pays for 28 firefighters on duty every day. That doesn't count administrative staff. Those people assigned suppression ready to respond, spread out between 8 different fire stations. And then, of course, our administrative staff, our command staff, and our support services staff. So the bulk of our revenue, of course, comes from sales tax and ad valorem tax. We budget with a buffer on both of those. We don't budget to collect 100% of our property tax because we never collect 100% of property tax. There's a few out there that, for whatever reason, don't always get their taxes paid. And then on sales tax, because that's a little more volatile, running with the economy, we budget on a 36-month average versus a 12-month average, just meaning that we're being conservative and allowing a buffer zone there for market volatility or economic pullback. And any surpluses that we get in sales tax, we steer into our capital replacement programs for cash capital. Other than that, again, my name is Stephen Watson. This is my email address and contact info. And at the end of the day, we're here to serve our citizens. And I'm a public servant, and it's my obligation to be truthful and forthcoming. And any questions that you have, I'd be happy to visit with you and answer.
Okay, we'll open it up for citizens' comment now. If you need to fill out a form, they're out in the lobby. Please get that before you speak. So, just remind everybody that just step to the podium when you're recognized by the board and state your name and address before beginning your presentation. If you're speaking on behalf of an organization or other group, identify the group represented or yourself. Speaker's time may not be pulled or given to other speakers. All presentations by citizens are limited to no more than 3 minutes unless allowed by the chair. The board reserves the right to limit the number of citizens who may present on a particular agenda item if necessary to expedite the meeting in an efficient manner. If you have written remarks or printed material you wish to present to the Parker County ESD1 board, please furnish that to the secretary for inclusion in the file for the agenda item. Speakers should address all remarks to the Parker County ESD1 board as a whole, not to individual members. All persons who complete a citizen participation form, whether or not allowed to speak, may submit written comments or exhibits to the secretary for inclusion in the official file for the agenda item. No shouting or cursing allowed at Parker County ESD 1 meetings. Purposefully disrupting a public meeting is a violation of state law and may result in the offending party being made to leave the meeting and can lead to criminal charges. We will start with Mr. Damian Vogel. Step to the podium and identify yourself and if you represent an organization or not.
Damian Vogel, 1188 Truman Circle, Springfield, Texas, 7602. Representing the city of Reno and the Reno Fire Department. I was kind of not sure that this was the forum we were going to be into this. I had more questions than I did just as I speak. Just curious about what the current response plan is with ESD 1 into the city of Reno on structure fires. Obviously, I'll probably prepare to answer these questions. So, ESD 1's proposal plan to structure fires in the city of Reno. Your presentation was very good today. Helped answer some of these questions. Mentioned the ISO rates. City of Reno, obviously fire protection is a big part of it, but also the water issue is not going to give a good rating to that Reno district area because of what water supply is there. So no matter what kind of fire protection you bring in, the water supply is still a huge issue and it's not going to fix it. But obviously y'all have tankers and it's going to be a help that they're not hindering them. Your busiest station appears to be Station 51, which is an answer to Reno. Is there a plan in place to cover all of Reno? Because obviously in your map, you even said yourself it's half of the city. To cover that, you mentioned building another station. Building stations takes time, and for the meantime, those people are going to suffer in that half of the city that doesn't have 5-mile coverage. Some people aren't even going to be able to get insurance, as you mentioned. Question about sanctuary. If they're going to be covered, y'all have covered most of the eastern side of the county, which is great. Taking over Reno now is the proposal. Y'all have a plan to take over sanctuary also, since the Reno Fire Department answers to sanctuary. What is in place for those people? So with 51 being the busiest station here in Parker County ESD 1, answering an additional district of the area of Reno, how are you going to be able to cover what you already have as a super busy district to take on that additional territory? And when you have a multiple simultaneous call volume, you've got engine 51 tied up and your battalion chief tied up for 51. Who is going to cover that Reno district while 51 is tied up, being the busiest station? I assume that it happens quite frequently. Y'all have simultaneous calls. I'm sure that y'all have some kind of cover assignment, I would hope, but that's something that I question about. New station in Reno, you mentioned you're going to build it up off of 2257 is your plan. What kind of station is that going to look like? What is it going to have in it as far as apparatus, staffing, maybe an ambulance? So that's a question. How long is that going to take? In the meantime, we're going to suffer with a little longer response time. Tax money coming in from Reno, we covered that pretty well. It's going to
3 minutes are up. You can wrap up your presentation if you like.
Anyway, just that's all I wrote down. Just a few more questions, but pretty well covered. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comments. And Chief Watson will address some questions after we finish everybody's comments. So that way we can kind of give a little clarity to some of the questions that come up. So next citizen is Alderwoman Jennifer Vogel.
Hello,
State your name and who you represent.
Jennifer Vogel, and I serve on the City of Reno, Councilwoman Place 4. So I've lived in Reno for over 25 years. The majority of my career, I worked EMS,